Hi, welcome to Joyful DIYs. I'm Joyful Day. Each week, I make a new DIY based on your votes in the comments section below. More about this week's poll later on in the video. I made the dress that I'm wearing today by following along a Yumi King DIY. That's in the link below. A couple of years ago, I was going through a rough time, and Yumi King really inspired me to start making dresses and eventually to start this channel. I started this channel because I really wanted to have a place for creators to come together and collaborate. Also for new creators to come together with me or other creators and make beautiful fashion together. So if you've made something, go ahead and send that to my Instagram. There's a link for that below. And then I can go ahead and post your photos in my next videos. And if you'd like to collaborate with me, go ahead and message me on my Instagram account, linked below. I highly encourage everyone to create a joyful DIY. Like I said, it really helped me when I was having a hard time. This week is part 2 of our Eevee to Sylveon dress transformation. The materials that you'll need this week are safety pins, thread, scissors, measuring tape, and of course a sewing machine. The fabric I'm using this week is several things that I got from the thrift store a long time ago. I have a white sheet. I don't even know how long that is. I hope that it's long enough. I have a dress. This dress I got from a thrift store. Like I was saying about the thrift store in my first video, I went to a thrift store that was one of those outlet thrift stores. So if you go to your Goodwill outlet thrift store, you can usually buy things by the pound. So even though this is a fabulous dress, I was able to buy it by the pound, and it really did not cost that much. So I got this, and like I said, I bought this several years ago, so this has been in my craft section for quite a while. I thought I'd also give you a quick diagram of how I make my circle skirts, because this is going to be important for the next skirt that I'm making right now, as well as the last skirt that I just made. And if it was confusing to you, I want to make this as easy as possible. So I'm gonna pretend that this piece of paper is one sheet, and then I just fold it in long ways in half, and then what I do is take one corner, either one, and fold that down into a triangle, because this tells me how long my circle skirt can actually be, and this varies based on whatever fabric that you have. And so what I want to make sure that you can understand is that once you have that, you just take that measurement from there and you can fold that over like this, and that will give you your square, because you take this part out and then you fold it like that, and that gives you the square. So here is your measurement for your waist. I used a 7, and then I used a 35 for this measurement right here, from this tip to this, from this waist cutout to this piece down here. But it really depends on how much material you have from here to how far of a length of a skirt that you can actually make. And then this is about how I would cut that. So the first thing that we'll start with is the skirt. So I also realized that I needed extra fabric for my ruffles, so I'm using a scrap fabric of some pink, some blue sheet scrap fabric that I had, and also another bed skirt that's a little darker in blue color, because we need these 3 colors to make the Eevee evolution of Sylveon. This is the skirt that I just made for this Sylveon dress. All I did was the same exact thing that I did for my Eevee dress last week, except for I roll hemmed the top and the bottom because I don't need elastic loops. I'm going to end up sewing this directly onto the brown skirt part of last week's dress. I'm going to need to make lots of ruffle for this. I'm going to do a pink, and then I'm going to do light blue at the bottom, and I'm going to do darker blue in the center. So it'll be white, and then light pink, and then the darker blue, and then the light blue. For the ruffle, I had all this pink, and I turned it into strips that are about 3.5 inches wide, so that this will be the first portion, and I'm going to roll hem each of these sides. Yes, it will take a while, but I'm going to add these each to each other and roll hem them after that once they're together, and then I'll be able to ruffle the one side and add it to the skirt at the same time. And then I will sew the pink to the dark blue, which will be 1.5 inches longer, and then the light blue, which will be 1.5 inches longer than that. So it'll have those 3 tiers of ruffle. So I'm making the ruffles, and I'm adding seams in between, and I'm roll hemming one side now so that we can have the other side ready to add the other 2 sets of ruffle. I stayed up till 3 a.m. working on ruffle, so new outfit, new day. This outfit says Dream a Princess Dream. It's a high-low skirt and a top. I made it based on a Yumi King DIY. Like a lot of my clothes, when I first started, this dress is about a year old, but I really love how cute and fun it is, and just the detail. And the skirt actually is the opposite. It's like the white material of this, but it both says Dream a Princess Dream. I found them both at a thrift store. I got them on different days, and I couldn't believe that I found the same like basic material, so I had to get both. And then I made out of this pink sheet the top and also the little bloomers that match and the bow, and then out of the skirt I made a high-low skirt, but it's pretty long in the back. It actually drags a little bit, so I just used basically almost that whole sheet for this one dress. So it's just really a fun dress to wear, and it was made from thrift store material. I got it, like I said, out of 2 twin sheets, so if you can afford to get 2 twin sheets from a thrift store, you can afford to make a beautiful dress like this. Something really wonderful happened to me today. I was on my way to the grocery store, so it's possible I could use that if you guys request a lace dress. And this one is a floral print material, and I got more of it, so I got a pink fitted sheet, which is always great because if you find a fitted sheet that has the fitted section all the way around it, usually you can cut out this little bit right here of material and take the entire piece of elastic, and then you can reuse that elastic in your dress, and you have everything basically that you need to make that dress, other than the thread and the needle if you were going to sew it by hand, or the thread and the sewing machine if you were going to sew it with your sewing machine. Basically, one fitted sheet can get you a whole dress. And then I got more of this pretty floral print, so I was thinking, like, kind of like this one, how I have 2 tone of, not really tone, but 2 different prints that go together. I could do the top and the bloomers out of this and the skirt out of this, or vice versa. And then I got a little bit of this pale pink as well. Purplish pale pink. Almost material. For another dress in the future. Not sure what I'm doing with it all yet, but I'm really excited to be able to use this in the future. And at a great price! I know you're probably thinking this is not enough to make a whole dress out of. However, last time that I was there, I got this whole bag of stuff, and I got so many pieces of this lacy curtain that I can make the entire dress. I can totally do that, and I might even be able to make 2 or something, because this is a lot of lace that I got in this whole bag right here. So I've got more than enough. So excited to make a lace dress. This is the skirt. And what we'll be doing next is taking the ruffle and adding it right along this very end hem of the skirt. That way it will cover up the rest of the brown from the skirt that is on the Eevee dress. To do that, we are going to take the hem with the nice side facing up, and all 3 layers of ruffle. Once you can find the right end. So we'll line up all 3 ends and place it directly to the very end of the sheet, and then while we're sewing, we will pinch. While we're sewing, we'll pinch the ruffle and not the skirt, and that will give us the ruffle that we want. I like to start with an extra inch or inch and a half. That way, when I am at the end, I can attach these 2 ends together and finish the ruffle, and it'll look nice at the beginning and end part. So while I'm sewing, I'll be scrunching up the ruffle pieces and keeping the regular skirt as flat as possible. And that gives us the ruffle that we need. Each of these ruffles are about 481 inches long, so I am hoping that I have enough. So while I do this, I'm going to be scrunching up the fabric and sewing over all the way around this bottom seam line. Now I'm adding the Eevee skirt to the Sylveon skirt right at the waistline. The Eevee skirt should have the wrong sides facing towards each other so that we can have those 2 hems covered by this top stitch. To make the top, we are going to measure from just above our bust all the way to how far down we want the top to go. So I'm going to go for 17 inches in length, and for the first panel, I'm going to measure my apex, and then I'm going to measure from here to my side, and then also 2 from the back, from the side to the back to the other side, and then I will just take that measurement and split that in half, and that will give me my panels. So I've done these measurements on myself, and I have started out with a basic 3 13 by 17 inch panels, and I did this because when you take stuff in, you want to make sure that you have extra room just in case you have to also pick those seams and take it out for some reason. So it's always better to have a little bit extra fabric than not enough. So I'm going to do that, and then I also have one more panel of fabric for those two back pieces like I just mentioned before. And though this panel in the back is about 8 inches wide, so that will give me 2 4-inch panels for the back for either side of the zipper. Then for the very center piece of the bodice, I just took out about 1 inch from each side by folding a piece over and kind of giving myself that line and then snipping up to the top to make it a slight bit wider and then narrower on the bottom. So now we're 2 inches less on the bottom than we are at the top, and this is 13.5 at the top. So now we can roll hem both sides, and that will give us our first piece of our bodice. Also, before I roll hem those sides, I'm going to make this into a heart neckline, and how I'm going to do that is just by taking 1 inch from the center top and curving this line. So that's what I took out of the center top, and once we add the other backing piece to this piece, then we'll have a heart-shaped neckline, kind of like right there. To make the sides, I actually attach the side piece in a square flat section, and I attach it directly to the side of the bodice because I don't have a dress form, and by doing this it allows me to see what pieces I need to take in and exactly how much. So when you do this, it'll make it a lot easier for you to know exactly your measurement and exactly how much you need to take in or out for this top to fit you perfectly. So I did not roll hem this. All I did was sew it because we're going to add another piece and all these pieces will be covered anyway. So I've added this, and I can tell once I put this on here that it needs to go down just a bit right here. So what I'm going to do is straighten it to where it's the right way, and then see this is going to be about here, and so I know that I need to take off this much fabric. But before I do all of that, I'm going to attach the back piece on, well, the side back, which is right here to right there, because that will let me know how much of a seam I need to take out of that piece as well, if I need to take some out of that piece, and the slope that I want that to be. Now I have the whole thing sewn, so I am going to go ahead and take about that much off from the side panel, and that will give us the back and the side that we need. So this is going to be, let's see, 5 inches lower in the back, and then I'm just going straight to the top of the apex seam in the princess seam in the front to start that to give me that angle that I need. To be sure that I got the same size of a cutout, all I did was lay the piece that I cut from the other side onto this side, line it up, and then cut it out so that you'll have a very near to identical piece on both sides. See? Turn the bodice inside out and you'll be able to see where you need to put in the darts and adjust these lines before adding in the lining pieces. So I'll need to take this in by about 1 inch. So I can put the top like this and see exactly where I'm going to need to take this in. Right here and right here. And so now that I know where this goes, I'm just going to pull this off and put a pin in both of these, and put a safety pin in both of these sides, and then I can make sure to sew in just the right spots. So just in case those back panels weren't enough, you can go ahead and add on extra strips. I realized that for that 5-inch back panel that I had put on was like not the right size, so I don't know where I got that 5-inch size dimension, but we're gonna go ahead and add these to it, and that'll make the exact right size so that we can go ahead and put a zipper in the back. I have decided to go ahead and roll him the entire top and not do a lining because my strips of fabric that I have left from my white sheet did not give me enough to do both. So what I had left in my stock right now is like an off-white creamish color, and it doesn't look good with this. So I would rather just not do a lining, roll him the whole thing, and have a top that at least looks right and matches. I'm finally ready to add the ruffle, so I'm lining up the light blue first, and then the brighter blue on top of that, and then on top of that the pink. And now what I'll do is I take this all the way up, right on the seam from that princess seam in the very front of our top. So we'll start at the top here, and then we're gonna ruffle it all the way down to the waistline. And this is how I'm scrunching it up. Just a little bit at a time. So over a tad, up to the next ruffle. Pinch a little more. Go down to the next ruffle. Stay on that princess seam line, so that's why I'm doing this really slowly. To add the zipper in the back, we're going to need to take the presser foot off and put on the zipper presser foot. So then you put the presser foot on this side if you're going to sew on this side for the zipper, and then you flip it and take it off of that side and onto this side to do this side of the zipper. I don't know if you guys got to see that or not, but it's these two notches in your presser foot, and one is for one side of the zipper and the other is for the other side of the zipper. So I'm going to go ahead and add the zipper to the back, and then I'm going to try it on, and then I can go ahead and adjust it if I need to. And if not, then I can go ahead and add the zipper to the other side. To make straps for this dress, I'm using this blue because it already has this little elastic sleeve that I'm going to use for the elastic I'm going to use for the shoulder strap, and I'm just going to add this pink directly to the seam line there, and then when I add this elastic in here, it'll scrunch this both up and it'll look like a double layer ruffle. After you're done putting the elastic in the sleeves, you can safety pin it to the back and then align right where you want it in the front so that you can be sure to have just the right amount of elastic and have the ruffles align perfectly in the front. So these are the measurements for the parts to the Eevee ear and the Sylveon ear. Like I mentioned in last week's video, the Eevee ear will be on the back and the Sylveon ear will be on the front, and then I'll be able to switch them around. But it'll look kind of like this when it gets all done. I don't know if you can see that clearly. Now you can see that it'll look kind of like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew, I'm going to hem each of these blue pieces and then attach it to the middle of the pink ear, and then sew the brown ear to the back of the pink ear. Here are the simple bow accessories that I have made. There's a head bow and the one for the front of the chest, and this is the ear, and now I'm going to stuff it with one of these hard bags and then a bunch of these softer bags to give it enough stiffness and volume to keep the ears propped up once I have them attached to the headband. Now that I've filled up the volume of the ear, I'm going to press this piece down and this piece down, and then I'm going to sew right here for about 3 inches, leaving a hole on each side of this so that I can actually put my headband through here. And then after I get the headband through, I'm going to scrunch it so that I can fit both ears on and that bow. Now I've got both of the ears done, so I can put them on the headband. Here's my headband. You can get these by multi-pack at the dollar store, so they're super inexpensive, and it makes it to where you can use just about anything and make a headpiece. This is my Eevee dress, and this is my Sylveon. What do you think? The polls for this week are the same as last week's because I had a part 1 and part 2 series for the Eevee dress transformation to Sylveon. So go ahead and post in the comment section below what dress you would prefer. Number 1, the floral print. Number 2, the lacy one. Or number 3, the shorts and vest combo outfit Lolita for him. In a world full of expenses, my DIYs are always free, so come back next week. Thanks so much everyone for watching, and as always, have a joyful day.